I was standing at the airport gate, boarding pass in hand, when my phone buzzed. It was a photo. My mother, my father, my sister, and her husband all crammed into a selfie, champagne glasses raised, enormous grins on their faces. They were on the plane, my plane, in first-class seats that I paid for. The caption read, "Family trip, so excited!" I wasn't in the photo. I wasn't on the plane. I was standing alone at Gate 47, watching their aircraft pull away from the terminal. They'd changed the flight, moved it up by 6 hours, and forgot to tell me. $47,000. That's how much I'd spent on this vacation. The flights, the 5-star resort, the excursions, the spa packages, every single penny came from my account. I'd been planning this trip for 8 months. It was supposed to be my gift to them, a way to bring our family back together after years of tension. And they left without me. My hands were shaking as I typed a response. "What happened? I'm at the airport. The flight doesn't leave for 6 hours." My sister responded almost immediately. "Oh no, didn't Mom tell you? We switched to an earlier flight. There was a mix-up with the booking. So sorry, we'll see you there." A mix-up. That's what she called it, a mix-up. I stood there, surrounded by strangers rushing to their own destinations, and I felt something inside me go very, very quiet. They thought they'd gotten away with it. They thought I'd just book another flight, swallow my humiliation, and show up at the resort with a smile. They had no idea what was waiting for them when they arrived, because that resort, the one I'd booked and paid for, I owned it, and I was about to give my family the vacation they'd never forget. Let me tell you something about being the successful one in a struggling family. It's a curse disguised as a blessing. I'm Marcus, 34 years old, self-made. I started my first business at 22, failed, started another at 24, failed again, and finally hit my stride at 27 with a hospitality tech company that got acquired for more money than my parents would make in 10 lifetimes. I didn't come from wealth. My father worked at a factory until his back gave out. My mother cleaned houses. My older sister, Vanessa, got pregnant at my teen and never finished college. We grew up in a 2-bedroom apartment where the heat didn't always work and dinner was often whatever was on sale. I was supposed to be just like them. That was the unspoken expectation. Stay small, stay local, don't dream too big. But I did dream big. I worked 3 jobs through college. I slept in my car during my first startup. I sacrificed everything, relationships, health, peace of mind, to build something from nothing. And when I finally made it, when the zeros started appearing in my bank account, my family came calling. It started small. My dad needed help with medical bills. Of course, I paid. My mom's car broke down. I bought her a new one. Vanessa's husband, Derek, lost his job. I covered their mortgage for 6 months. I didn't mind at first. I loved them. I wanted to help. What's the point of success if you can't share it with the people who raised you? But somewhere along the way, helping became expected. Expected became demanded, and demanded became resented when I couldn't give enough. The more I gave, the more they wanted, and the more they wanted, the less they seemed to actually like me. My mother started making comments about how I thought I was better than everyone. My father would get drunk at holidays and mutter about how some people forget where they came from. Vanessa stopped inviting me to her kids' birthday parties because my gifts made her look bad. I was good enough to fund their lives, but not good enough to be part of them. The vacation was supposed to fix that. 1 week in paradise. No money talk, no resentment, just family. I'd planned every detail. The oceanfront suites, the private dinners, the sunset boat tour. I even arranged for a family portrait session, something we'd never done. I wanted it so badly to work. I should have known better. The planning started in January. I'd found a gorgeous resort in the Caribbean, the kind of place you see in magazines, with crystal clear water and private beaches and rooms that cost more per night than most people's monthly rent. I booked the entire top floor, 4 suites, all connected, with a shared terrace overlooking the ocean. I arranged first-class flights for everyone. I prepaid for every meal, every activity, every possible expense. When I told my family, I expected gratitude, maybe even excitement. What I got was a list of demands. My mother wanted a suite with a bigger bathroom. Vanessa wanted to make sure the kids' room had a specific type of crib. Derek asked if the resort had a golf course, and when I said yes, he asked if I'd be covering his equipment rental. Not thank you, not this is too generous, just more. I told myself it was fine. They weren't used to this kind of trip. They didn't know how to react. Once we got there, once we were actually together in that beautiful place, everything would be different. The trip was scheduled for June 15th, a Saturday. I had the flights booked for 2 p.m., plenty of time for everyone to get to the airport, get through security, and board together. On June 15th, I woke up at 6 a.m. to finish packing. I was nervous and excited like a kid before Christmas. I triple-checked my passport, my boarding pass, my resort confirmation. At 7 a.m., I texted the family group chat, "Today's the day! See everyone at the airport! Can't wait!" No one responded. I figured they were busy getting ready. At 10 a.m., I got in my car and drove to the airport. I was early, but I wanted to be there first. I wanted to see their faces when they realized what I'd done for them. At 11 a.m., I was sitting at the gate watching the departure board when my phone buzzed with that photo. They were already on the air. I called my mother. No answer. I called my father. No answer. I called Vanessa. Straight to voicemail. Finally, Derek picked up. I could hear the roar of the plane engines in the background. "Hey, Marcus. Yeah, sorry about the mix-up, man. Your mom said she told you about the flight change." "She didn't tell me anything. I'm at the airport. I've been here for an hour." A pause. Then Derek laughed. Actually laughed. "Oh man, that sucks. Well, just book another flight. We'll see you at the resort." "Derek, I planned the entire trip. I paid for everything. How did the flights get changed without me knowing?" Another pause. Longer this time. "Look, I don't know the details. Vanessa handled it. Something about the airline offering an upgrade if we switched to an earlier departure. It was a last-minute thing." "And no one thought to call me?" "I mean, we figured you'd be fine. You've got money, right? Just book a private jet or something." He laughed again, like it was funny, like leaving me behind was a joke. I hung up. I sat in that airport for 3 hours. I could have booked another flight. Derek was right. I had the money. But something kept me frozen in that plastic chair, staring at the departures board, replaying the last 8 months in my head. The way my mother had asked increasingly specific questions about the resort. Who owns it? How did you find it? Is it one of those places where the owner stays on site? The way Vanessa had insisted on being added to the flight booking, just in case something needs to be changed. The way Derek had smirked at Easter dinner and said, "Must be nice to be able to buy your family's love." This wasn't a mix-up. This was planned. They wanted the vacation. They just didn't want me. And suddenly, I knew exactly what I was going to do. Here's what my family didn't know. The resort they were flying to wasn't just a place I'd found online. 3 years ago, when my company got acquired, I started investing in real estate. Hotels, resorts, rental properties, anywhere I could put money to work. One of my first acquisitions was a struggling boutique resort in the Caribbean. Beautiful property, terrible management. I bought it, renovated it, and turned it into one of the most exclusive destinations in the region. I'd never told my family. They knew I had money, but they didn't know how much or where it was invested. I kept that information private, partly for security reasons, partly because I knew they'd find ways to exploit it. When I booked the family vacation, I chose my own resort deliberately. I wanted to show them something I'd built. I wanted them to see that their son, their brother, had created something beautiful. I'd planned to tell them on the first night, a big reveal over dinner. Surprise, I own this place. Now that reveal was going to look very different. I left the airport and drove home. I showered, changed, and opened my laptop. Then I called my resort manager, a woman named Clara who'd been with me since the renovation. "Clara, I need you to do something for me. The guests arriving today in the top floor suites, the Mitchell party, I need you to give them the full VIP treatment. Champagne, upgraded amenities, the works." "Of course, Mr. Mitchell. Anything else?" "Yes, I want you to film their check-in, discreetly, And tomorrow morning, I want you to deliver a message. Tell them the owner would like to meet them for breakfast." "The owner? But sir, they don't know." "They're about to find out." Clara sent me the footage that evening. My family arrived at the resort around 5 p.m. They stumbled out of the shuttle van, sunburned from the airport transfer and already bickering about something. But when they saw the property, the gleaming white buildings, the pristine beach, the staff lined up to greet them, they went silent. Then my mother said, loudly enough for the microphone to pick up, "Can you believe Marcus paid for all this? I told you he'd come through." Vanessa snorted. "He always does. That's what he's for." That's what he's for. I replayed that line 4 times. They checked in without incident. Clara gave them the VIP treatment, just like I'd asked, champagne in their rooms, fruit baskets, a handwritten note that said, "The owner hopes you enjoy your stay." My mother apparently asked who the owner was. Clara just smiled and said, "You'll meet him tomorrow." They didn't suspect a thing. That night, I flew private to the island. I arrived around midnight and went straight to my private residence on the property, a separate villa that guests don't even know exists. I slept better than I had in months, because tomorrow, everything was going to change. At 8 a.m., Clara delivered the breakfast invitation, a formal card embossed with the resort's logo. "The owner of Azure Bay Resort requests the pleasure of your company for breakfast at 9 a.m. Please meet at the owner's terrace. Dress code, smart casual." I watched on the security feed as my mother read the card aloud. She seemed confused but excited, probably imagining some wealthy stranger who might become a useful contact. "Maybe he's single," Vanessa joked. "Maybe we can set up Marcus with his daughter." They laughed. They actually laughed. At 9 a.m., they arrived at the owner's terrace, a private dining area overlooking the ocean, usually reserved for VIP guests and investors. Clara escorted them to the table where I was already seated, my back to them, looking out at the water. "Mr. Mitchell, your guests have arrived." I turned around. The look on my mother's face is something I'll remember for the rest of my life. "Marcus, how did you—" "Good morning, everyone." I gestured to the empty seats. "Please, sit down." They didn't move. They stood there, frozen, like deer caught in headlights. "I don't understand," my father said slowly. "How did you get here? You thought I'd miss the vacation. You thought you'd have this whole trip to yourselves on my dime without having to deal with me. That's not—" "Don't." My voice was calm, but something in it made her stop. "Don't lie to me. Not here, not now." I pulled out my phone and played the audio from Clara's check-in footage. My mother's voice filled the air. "Can you believe Marcus paid for all this?" Then Vanessa, "He always does. That's what he's for." "This resort," I said, "is mine. I bought it 3 years ago. I've been building it, improving it, turning it into something I'm proud of. I chose it for this vacation because I wanted to share it with you. I wanted you to see what I'd accomplished." My mother's face had gone pale. "Marcus, honey, we didn't know—" "You didn't know I owned the resort, but you knew you were excluding me from a trip I planned and paid for. You knew you changed the flights without telling me. You knew exactly what you were doing." "It was a misunderstanding," Derek tried. "Stop." I held up my hand. "I have the airline records. Vanessa changed the booking 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks. This wasn't a last-minute mix-up. This was deliberate." Vanessa's face crumpled. "Okay, fine. Yes, we wanted some time without you. Is that terrible? You're always so much. Everything has to be about your success, your money, your generosity. We just wanted a normal vacation." "A normal vacation that I paid for. See, that right there. You always have to remind us." I leaned back in my chair. "When's the last time any of you paid for anything when I was around? When's the last time someone in this family said thank you without immediately asking for something else?" No one answered. "I have spent the last 7 years being your ATM, your emergency fund, your backup plan. And I did it because I loved you, because I thought that's what family was supposed to do." I stood up and walked to the terrace railing, looking out at the ocean I now owned. "But I'm done. As of this morning, your rooms have been downgraded to standard accommodations, the first-class return flights have been changed to economy, the excursions, the spa packages, the private dinners, all canceled. You'll receive a bill for the remaining costs." "You can't do that!" my mother shrieked. "I own this resort. I can do whatever I want." I turned to face them. "You wanted a vacation without me? Congratulations, you've got one, but you'll be paying for it yourselves. I suggest you check your credit limits." They lasted 2 days. Without my money covering everything, the costs added up fast. The standard rooms were still nice, but they weren't the oceanfront suites they'd been expecting. The restaurants were expensive. The activities were pricier than they'd realized. Derek's credit card got declined at the hotel bar. My mother had a meltdown at the front desk when she found out the spa treatments she'd booked were no longer complimentary. On the second night, Vanessa came to my villa. She'd found out where I was staying, probably bribed a staff member. "Marcus, please, this has gone far enough." I opened the door, but didn't invite her in. "Has it?" "We made a mistake. We're sorry, but you're being cruel." "I'm being cruel? I planned a $47,000 vacation for our family. You deliberately left me behind and then laughed about it. But I'm cruel because I won't keep paying for your good time?" "That's not—" She stopped, took a breath. "Okay, you're right. We were wrong. But you're our family. You can't just abandon us here." "Funny, that's exactly what you did to me at the airport." She started crying. Real tears or performance tears, I honestly couldn't tell anymore. "What do you want from us, an apology? Fine, I'm sorry. We're all sorry. Now can we please go back to normal?" Normal. That word hit me like a punch. "Normal," I repeated. "You mean where I pay for everything and you treat me like an inconvenience? Where I'm good enough to fund your lives but not good enough to be included in them?" "That's not fair." "None of this is fair, Vanessa, but it's honest. And honestly, I don't want to go back to normal. I want something better, something real, and I don't think this family knows how to give me that." She left in tears. The next morning, they checked out and flew home on their own dime. That was 8 months ago. I haven't spoken to my parents since. Vanessa sends occasional texts, guilt trips dressed as olive branches, but I don't respond. Derek blocked me on social media, which I consider a gift. Some people might say I went too far, that I should have been the bigger person, forgiven them, moved on. But here's what I've learned. Forgiveness doesn't mean accepting abuse. Family doesn't mean unlimited access to your resources and none of your boundaries. Love isn't supposed to feel like being used. I still own that resort. I visit every few months, walk the beaches, eat at the restaurants I helped design. It's beautiful there, peaceful. Last month, I hosted a different kind of family vacation, my chosen family. My best friend from college, his wife, their kids, my mentor from my first job, and her husband. People who've supported me, celebrated me, shown up for me without needing a check attached. We stayed in the top floor suites. We did the sunset boat tour. We took a family portrait on the beach, the one I'd originally planned for my biological family. It was everything I'd hoped for, because I was surrounded by people who actually wanted me there. My mother called on my birthday last month. I let it go to voicemail. Her message said, "Marcus, this has gone on long enough. We're your family. You can't just cut us off forever. Call me back. We need to talk about Thanksgiving." We need to talk about Thanksgiving. Not, "I miss you," not, "I'm sorry," just another expectation, another demand. I deleted the voicemail. Some families are bound by love. Others are bound by obligation. I spent 34 years confusing the two. Not anymore. They wanted a vacation without me? They got one. And now they get a lifetime without me. Turns out, that's the most valuable gift I've ever given myself.